Doesn't matter if you're a banker, doesn't matter if you're a plumber, doesn't matter if you're a chocolatier, doesn't matter if you're a podcast host. Storytelling is the key to winning the attention economy. If you're not going to storytell, you're fucked. You are behind. Our brains are wired to interpret stories, not features and benefits. No one cares about seeing a chocolate bar on social media.
2021, 9 million in sales, and then 2023, you did 30 million in sales. What changed in the business for you guys to be able to triple?
You got to be so confident in yourself. You have to have so much conviction. You have to be almost delusional. Failure is not a bad thing. And that failing is actually a privilege. We've sold over 65 million bars. People aren't going to believe you, even if they love you. They might not believe you. You need to spend all your energy and time and block out that noise.
Welcome back to another episode of Money Buys Happiness. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Today I got a special one. All right. We got the Chief Rainmaker, the Chief Rainmaker of Midday Squares, which I love that name. We're going to get into that name. You were named to Forbes 30 Under 30. You were a finalist in the EY Entrepreneur of the Year.
Twice. I can't even make the final thing.
They got to give it to you at this point.
Twice, man. Are you kidding?
Third time's a charm.
Yeah.
And your brand is now in over 9,000 stores, correct?
10,000 to be specific as of this week. So
that just changed then.
Yeah, but you know, 10,000, it seems like a big number, and it is most definitely. But you know, our competitors that are phenomenal brands are in, you know, north of 60,000 stores across North America. So we still have like 50. The party's literally just getting started is what I'm implying. But it's not to say that there hasn't been so much work done to get into those 10,000. It's been almost impossible. So to every 10,000 store that took a chance on us, we're grateful for you.
100%. Well, Jake, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I've been very impressed with how you guys have built your business through content, through socials. It's something we try to do here at our agency for all our clients as well. But before we get into that, I do want to get into a little bit of how you started before Midday Squares. I know you had some other businesses. So tell me more about who you were maybe like in high school. Who was Jake in high school?
Jake in high school was the Jake that you see today. Jake in between high school and end of university was not the same Jake. And what I mean by that is I always struggled academically. I was never the smart person in the class. I always had deep insecurities about my academics. My friends are brilliant academically, and I was always the bottom of the class. And I have some learning disabilities. I have some fine motor skill problems, superpowers, whatever you want to call them. And I always felt like I wasn't good enough within that system or schooling or whatever you want to call it. And I ended up after I left high school, I ended up trying to be like everybody else. And what I mean by that is I just want to fit in. I wanted to conform because during my high school years, I was the class clown. I was the funny guy. I was the one that was making so much noise, getting into trouble. Everyone loved me. Yeah. They laughed at me or with me, one or the other, but it was good vibes either way. It's when I left high school and I almost didn't graduate that I changed my behavior to fit in. And I didn't want to be risky. I didn't want to be, the guy that got attention or the one that was the fun guy and always got in trouble. I wanted to just play it safe. And I did that for many years and I failed, man.
Was there a reason for that though? Like you feeling that?
Yeah. So grade 11, graduated Montreal because I'm from Montreal. And my parents were called into the principal's office and told that I might not graduate. So I had to get it together. And my mom was devastated. So she just wanted me to graduate, finish school, maybe get a job, have a family, like great stuff. And I just wasn't on track for that. And at the time I felt a deep failure when I saw my mom devastated like that. I love my mom. She works with us now. But I decided that I was just going to change. I never want to be called the class clown again or be called, let's call it in quotations, not so smart. And I studied my bum off, man. I changed my whole perspective. I just focused school, fit in, don't make noise, don't get into trouble, don't be Jake, be this other guy. And in the end, it didn't reward me because when I went to go apply for the jobs that I was trying to get, investment banking, actuary, I studied to be an actuary, so actuarial science, financial modeling, all these stats jobs and math jobs, which are phenomenal jobs, by the way. Brilliant people do it. I'm not that brilliant person. I got rejected everywhere. So when I got rejected, I realized, what's the point? You try to play like this game that's not even your game, and you're losing.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, there's got to be a different way. And then I dug deep internally, and I was watching Shark Tank, and I'll never forget this guy, I don't know, middle-aged, was fired up, man. On the camera, this guy was energized. He was passionate. He was purposeful. He was momentous, electric. And I looked at this guy. I was like, he has so much to lose. He had mortgages on his house. He had 3 kids or something. He could barely put food on the table, but he loved his business. Yeah. And I was like, whatever this guy's drugs he's on, it wasn't drugs. It was just purpose, like, passion. I was like, I need that. And in that moment, I decided to be an entrepreneur. And then I changed again. And I realized that if I'm going to take this road of entrepreneurship, it's a road of pain. It's a road of adversity. It's a road of being misunderstood. And you got to be so confident in yourself. You have to have so much conviction. You have to be almost delusional, so like very delusional.
Of course.
So I just started to be me again. And that's the Jake you're seeing here, is the one that decided to not care as much of what people think, not care about what society thought of me, while living as a kind person and being true to myself. And that was the day I got freedom. Yeah. And there's freedom in the other world too, by the way. Like, there's not one better than the other. Like, I could have done the corporate world and had that freedom and been myself, but I just didn't find it while I was within that space, right? Yeah. And entrepreneurship allowed me to try a lot of things and fail a lot and go through a lot of adversity, which allowed me to experience things that I never thought I would experience. And perspective until I've learned who I am today, which is going to be different tomorrow. And it's going to be different in 20 years. It's going to be different in 50 years. As long as you continue to learn, I think then you're the winner.
For sure. And how did that conversation go day one when you wanted to become an entrepreneur? What did that look like with your parents? Going back to the conversation with your mother, how much she means to you, and what did that look like? Because day one entrepreneur, I feel like everyone has a different day one.
So my day one with my parents they're very supportive, and I'm grateful for that. And anyone that has family that is supportive, it really helps, by the way. They were more supportive in the way that it's like, okay, you could try, give it a shot. But you got to be working. Like, so like if it doesn't work, like you're going to get your job, right? That's all. So they were tough love on that, but very supportive in terms of give it a shot. Now, everyone I told I was starting a chocolate bar company or I was starting a fitness business at the time, almost like, it wasn't like rude. They weren't trying to be rude. They just didn't believe it was going to be anything. Like, it's time to get a job type of thing. And they loved me and they were good people. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just they couldn't see what I saw. I actually saw potential for my fitness business to be huge.
Yes.
It didn't get huge. But, and then I did a second business, which was throwing parties. And it didn't get big. It went bankrupt, actually. It failed. But I saw some potential. I saw some little bit of light. And then Midday Squares, when I joined that as the third founder and now Rainmaker, I saw a little light. And that light now is bigger and bigger and bigger. But the same thing happened over time. People don't necessarily believe because it's hard for them to see what you're seeing. And I don't blame them, because to tell someone you're going to build the next biggest chocolate snacking company with no experience in food, no engineering, no food science background, barely any connections in the space, like, you look a little crazy.
Yep.
But I think entrepreneurs have this delusion that is an unconditional self-belief that is fascinating, because when you have that, you really are going to do everything in your power to make that happen, whether it works or not.
For sure.
You're going to do anything, sacrifice. You're going to lose friends. You're going to miss birthdays. You're going to do all these things because you see a vision that others may not see. It does not make you better than anybody.
Of course.
But it makes you have a purpose to go get it. And when I started Midday Squares with my sister and brother-in-law, we believed we could do it. We still do. And we're still standing 7 years later. Surviving, thriving, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and earlier on, I wanted to ask you this because I think a lot of people go through this. You know, you mentioned you're telling a lot of people your goals and your dreams. Maybe most of them are non-believers at that point, okay? How are you navigating through that and keeping your beliefs strong? Because a lot of people too, you know, they'll have their idea, chocolate bar, let's say. I tell it to 3 people. They all didn't believe me. Now I'm done. I'm not moving forward with this. So how did you get through that to have that? It's confidence within yourself at that point to say, well, even if my mom says this, even if my cousin says this, people I really believe in and love, should I be going that direction? How did you get past that? Because I think that's where a lot of people stop.
The noise is dangerous. So again, these people love you and like they care about you and you respect them. And when someone says maybe, you know, this might not work, how big can this get? They're not trying to be rude, but the noise starts to eat you slowly. Like, you start to question, am I good enough? Is this possible? Can I make this happen? You start asking yourself these questions. And it's your duty, especially in entrepreneurship, to block that noise out and listen to your gut and surround yourself with people that do believe in what you're doing. And yes, criticism, constructive criticism is great, by the way. You should never avoid that. But I think the most important thing at the beginning of any business is to be around people that are delusional like you. And that allows you to feel this momentum. And when you create momentum, you start to create this force. It's probably one of humans' greatest forces that is not something you could buy, you could replicate. It has to be created through experience, through movement. And I think what we had at the beginning of Midday Squares, even though it was a chocolate bar, a better for you chocolate bar, and everyone's like kind of laughing, we had this idea that even if we sold one that day or two that day, we start to like celebrate, dance, go crazy, like shit, someone bought it that lives 30 minutes away from us, doesn't even know us. Why?
Yeah.
And when you start to create that energy, the momentum starts to create, then other people feel the energy. And because we were filming everything and documenting, our consumers start to feel it. So then that created more momentum. And momentum works in both positive and negative. So if you surround yourself with the positive and you create that optimism and that energy and that conviction, you're going to get there. Now, if you do the opposite, where you surround yourself with potential negativity or pessimism or people that just don't believe, eventually you're going to believe that and the whole thing's going to collapse.
For sure.
Now, as we got through this journey, we went to therapy. My partners and I, my sister, my brother-in-law and I went to therapy to protect our partnership. But that therapy also gave me perspective to get over these hard moments. What you talked about is the people that don't believe. Because I couldn't understand, if you love me, do you not believe what I'm saying? Or at least like fire me up to believe it. And I had to work through deep therapy to understand that they're just not in your shoes, and it's okay that they don't see it, by the way. You don't have to be angry at them that they don't see it. You might not see something that they see in their life. And, you just got to live your dream. And I always say one step at a time, compounded over a significant period of time, leads to huge, huge outcomes.
Yep.
And I could say that from living proof of this 7-year journey. We were making 50 bars a day, bro. At the beginning, hand making 50 bars a day, 5 a.m. till 5 p.m. And then from 5 p.m. till 10 p.m., we would hand deliver because we couldn't afford shipping for 25 cents a bar. So that's what, 10, 12 bucks, 15 bucks. I don't even know. My math is terrible now. But we rinsed and repeated it because we believed it. But we surrounded ourselves with people that believed. And then that led to now making 150,000 bars a day we make today.
For sure.
In our own factory.
Yep.
And we've sold over 65 million bars. So
insane.
So my thing to other people listening to this is people aren't going to believe you, even if they love you. They might not believe you, but you need to spend all your energy and time and block out that noise. And if you truly have conviction and believe in what you're doing, then go get it. And the noise is just noise. And don't be angry at those people. Love them for who they are, but keep your dream alive by following what you believe. It might fail, but let it fail because you tried, not because you listened to the noise and went this way. Because everyone's going to tell you how to make a business, how to do it, but they're not in your business.
Yeah. And to add to that, it's kind of like two questions here. Did you stop telling people your dreams at that point?
Yeah.
When you realized, okay, you know what? Not everyone's giving me back the energy that I wanted or I expected. Did you stop maybe going around and saying, yo, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And the second question to that is, what did you notice about your circle changing, let's say the last 10 years? Because again, another thing a lot of business owners go through is like, okay, well, I have to surround myself with either higher level people or people that think like me. And maybe my old friends aren't really doing that for me anymore. Like, this is a real thing that people go through. So first question is, did you stop telling people your dreams? Second question is, what did you notice about you and your circle throughout the last 10 years? Who were the people you wanted around? And maybe how did it go for you to maybe end some relationships that weren't working for you?
100%. So I'm going to go with the first one, the second question first. So yeah, I had to start ending certain relationships because the pain of building a business is real. And again, I can't speak for people in jobs that I've never been there, so I don't know. And I'd love to hear more about that. Again, not one's better than the other, but what the experience I have is the last decade of trying businesses, entrepreneurship. And the common theme is significant amount of pain, loneliness, being misunderstood. And when you're going through that, you just want to throw the towel in. You're like, what's the point of feeling this way? Yeah, you get a moment of greatness where a dream come true. You want to be at, for me, it was, I wanted to, be on a billboard at Times Square that I didn't pay for, and I got that. It was like me ringing the NASDAQ, and it was super cool. But it lasted for a minute. The next day it was over. The party was over for that. So most of the game of entrepreneurship is just significant amount of hardship, pain, adversity. And the best entrepreneurs are the ones that can continue to withstand that for a very long time. until eventually it's no longer pain, it's souffle or whatever it is. And it takes a significant amount of time to get there. So you got to be able to keep getting up, keep showing up, and keep giving it your all, even though everything tells you it's not going to work. The odds are so low. But I love that. And I've learned to love that. And at the beginning, some people that didn't make me feel that way, I would try to explain to them. I would try to talk about it, and I wasn't getting the energy back, or I was getting too much negativity, which I was seeing an effect on my business, on my beliefs and my conviction. So I just started distancing myself. And, I have a core group of people who I'm close with, and I love them. And some of them are my friends for business, and they're just there to amp me up and make me feel like I can win big and dream big. And then I have my friends who I've grown up with my whole life that I play sports with. I go out with them, and we don't talk business, and we don't talk about that. And I've learned that that's okay. Yeah. And for me to expect you to say, how's Midday Squares doing? Or if you're one of my boys and ask about it all the time, if I expect that and you don't meet that I can't fault you for that, And I used to fault them, and I used to get so angry, and I would create this energy in me that was just, I was miserable to be around until I realized that I love them for other reasons. And that's cool to love them. And I hang with them in those situations. And then I have people that amp me up and fire me up and that make me want to take over the world for other reasons. So I've learned to compartmentalize. And I'm sad of some of the relationships that that have either outgrown me, they've outgrown me, or I've grown them. But I think that that's the beauty of life is you don't need a million people in your life. You need a core group of people that make you feel alive. And that's what could take over the world, because you have a short life. It could be over tomorrow for you and I. And all you have is where your feet are. So enjoying the experiences that you have. So I don't know. I don't worry much about where my journey is going to go. I just know more people are coming in, and then more people are going out at the same time, and it's just flow.
Yeah. And I think something I've learned too, because I was the same. I used to expect, there's a saying, you can't expect everything from one person.
Can't.
Right?
Doesn't work.
And I used to be like that. I used to be like, well, why can't you be my friend, but also give me that business energy that I might get from a part? And then the business partner, well, why don't you give me that friend energy? So that's something that you noticed, obviously.
It's scary, but I went depressed for that, by the way. I was depressed that I would go through something. So whether it be a really big adversity or a huge milestone, like a dream.
Yeah.
And no one would say anything. Yeah. None of my cronies or my crew would say anything. And I would think, do they just not want to say something? Do they not know? And I would ask myself questions, but I wouldn't even have the conversation with them, which was weird. Then I realized that expecting people to say something, they're in their own life. Like, people are living their lives, and that's okay. And if I expect them to do all this stuff and they don't do it, I'm going to hate them. I'm going to be angry. And so what I had done with perspective and tons of therapy is I just realized that they're part of my life, and I love them for who they are and what they're part of. And some others will give me the other stuff. And once you understand that, like, I stopped just being angry. And I stopped expecting it. And like, when I go through a milestone, my wife's there for me, my mom's there for me, my dad, my brother, my sister, my immediate family, and they're rah-rahing for me. I don't need more than that.
Yeah.
And by the way, sometimes at these milestones, I'll get like messages from hundreds of people that I don't even know.
Yeah.
That will write the most beautiful messages.
Yeah.
But I don't know them, right? But then like some of the closest people to me won't even say anything.
Yep.
So it's this weird mind fuck, excuse my language, that I think a lot of people go through, but it's your duty to work on it, not anybody else's.
True.
And if you don't take the accountability of that, you're going to suffer inside.
And for you kind of, I guess your solution was lower expectations around you. Not completely to maybe your closest people, but in general.
And just like flow with it. Like, I think a big thing was I would go to like a dinner with some of my close friends, and I'd expect them to bring up the post I made on like LinkedIn or Instagram about like, I got this big award. And then when they wouldn't say it, I'd just be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But maybe they don't know, number one. Maybe they didn't see the post. Maybe, they were thinking about it and then they didn't think about it. And then, and maybe we just don't want to talk about business. Yep. Maybe we could talk about the stuff like, that we've loved our whole lives together.
Yeah.
And I just let go of it. Like, the bricks came off my shoulders, dude. I felt so good. Like, and like, that doesn't mean you don't need to bring up their spotlights that fire you up, which I do. But I know that they love me. I know they want me to win. And once you know that, the words that they say don't really matter if they don't bring up, oh, you got this award on the back. If you trust that they love you and that they're the best, they want the best for you, then it should all be okay.
Yeah.
But if you don't truly believe that, then that's where the insecurities come in as well.
Of course. Before we get into Midday Squares, the start of it and how that came to be, I do want to ask you about the other two businesses that you consider failures, I guess. You closed them. I wouldn't consider them failures. I
No.
think that you definitely learned a lot. What I do want to know is what you did learn from those two businesses that you brought to Midday Squares.
So both those businesses, I learned the same thing. I learned three things. I'm going to go over them. So number one, I'm a horrible CEO. So as a manager, I am absolutely brutal and being a manager operator, and that's okay.
Mm.
You don't need to you could own a business, build a business, and not be an operator as long as you partner with operators or have people that are better than you that work with you at operations. Second thing I learned is that I'm a great storyteller and community builder. That's one of my superpowers. So me telling the story, building the noise, making community, leaning into that is where I feel the magic. So I learned my weakness and I learned my strength. And then the third thing I learned is that failure is not a bad thing, and that failing is actually a privilege, because going through those hard moments and the failing, the closing, the admitting failure, it's given me such an opportunity to be even greater in my future and understand that it's like a tool in my toolbox now that I have. I know the feeling. I understand what it is to go through that. Failing in public is a crazy thing. You tell everybody that you're going to win, and then it closes, and you feel the pressure, the heat. So I feel like going through that, I've built my muscles to be, a better leader, a better individual to the world, a better partner in business, a better partner to my wife. All those experiences have given me tools. Yeah. Now, instead of looking at them as like, yeah, I lost money, which I did lose money, I didn't focus on that. I focused on what can I take from it? What wins happened? What things am I not going to do again?
Yeah.
And that applied to Midday Squares now today, where I became a rainmaker because that's the role I thrive in. I learned that I'm an amazing friend builder. I'm an amazing community builder. I'm amazing at making noise, which every business needs. Yeah. And my business partners are amazing operators. They're great CEOs. They're co-CEOs. And they can run the manufacturing, the product development, the management of the company. I just can't do that. And when you put those two positions together, the magic's made. Yeah. So I just think that that was some of the biggest learnings. And then the fourth, which I know I said three, but the fourth would have been that therapy is something critical to succeeding in, at least in my life. And it's become a huge part of it.
Of course. And you said, you lost money, but you know what? I like to look at them as expensive mistakes. And sometimes if I spend a certain amount of money, but I lose it, but I learn a lesson, I kind of look at it as like, that's how much I had to spend to learn that lesson, most likely. Right?
Yeah. Like one of the second business I lost, I don't know, it was $80,000+ personally. And I was 24, 25. I had to move back to my parents. Anyways, long story short, I was embarrassed at the moment. But in that business, I learned one of the most critical skills I use today, which is sharing my story and being loud. And what I call build out loud, tell your story and control your narrative. Because when you control your narrative, it's very clear. Like obviously, as long as you're kind and telling the truth, which is critical, authenticity, your narrative is what people are going to understand, right? Yeah. And I learned that in that second business. Okay. Now, I also learned that I can't run a business. I can't run a business in operations. I'm brutal. I'm pathetic, more or less. And going forward, I partner with people that can do what I'm bad at. And that's why I think we're having minimal success or somewhat success, is because we're playing to each other's strengths and not to each other's weaknesses. Yep. And that was critical from going through the other businesses that I went through.
Of course.
Same thing with my partners. They failed in other businesses too.
Which I want to talk about because, going into Midday Squares now, you partner up with your sister and your brother-in-law.
Family fair.
Crazy, right? Which, again, here we have something similar. Me and Anthony have our sisters working with us as well. Cool. His mom works with us as well. So we like to keep it in the family too. So I saw that you did that and I loved it right off the bat. How does that come to be, you three getting into a room saying Midday Squares?
First of all, family is awesome. One of my favorite things in life is family, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people have that, but like I genuinely, like, when I'm feeling down, I'm feeling sad on this journey of pain, of entrepreneurship, I just feel safe when I go home. It feels like the uncertainty comes to certainty really quickly. Yeah. And I'm grateful for that, by the way. But I think that working with my partners, and I call them partners because yes, they're my sister and brother-in-law, but we didn't choose each other because we're family. We chose each other because we complement each other's skill sets. So when we came together, my brother-in-law is a software engineer. My sister is a executor at the best level. So when you put an executor and a creative, she's creative and an executor, and then a software engineer who's data-driven, and then a brand builder and a loud person, you create the puzzle pieces needed to build a puzzle. Okay. Brand, product market fit, and data run company. And we protected this partnership from day one, from going to therapy together. You know, it was between once every 7 to 14 days together.
So from the start, you guys
day one. And I didn't believe in it at first. I was like, this is the dumbest thing in quotations.
Whose idea was that?
My business partner, Nick, my brother-in-law.
Okay.
He saw that the most critical thing to this organization is not going to be if we build $1 billion business or not. It's going to be, do we still love each other after this journey? And at first I was like, we're family. Why would we fight? Like, who cares? But then I realized that as soon as pressure, money, expectations, anxiety kicks in, things change, conversations change, tension builds. Yeah. So I ended up going to therapy with them, and it was the most uncomfortable thing. It was like we constructively criticized each other in a safe zone, but like I felt like attacked, and like I was like, this is personal. My sister and I have past history. So like all that was brought up. And what was crazy is this guy, Dr. James Gavin, has protected this partnership because we show up on the Tuesday morning for 1 to 2 hours and we have those hard conversations. And what it does is it keeps us aligned on everything. Okay. And when we're aligned, we might disagree with certain things, but we agree with where the business is going and how we're doing it. So that way there's no issues on that end. A lot of partnerships fail because of misalignment or tension that builds. That's protected through therapy. And now I go to therapy myself too. I do all kinds of other stuff. But I would say that was the big thing about going to coming together and starting Midday Squares was we're only going to do this if we protect the partnership, because it wouldn't be worth it if we hated each other after this journey, no matter how big, how much impact we made. For sure. Family, this family started as we love each other. We got to end as loving each other the same or more. And I would say hopefully more, which I think we already are. And it's just fucking hard though. Family business is really hard. And even friend businesses is hard. If you don't put the work in, you're in a pressure cooker for it to fail, to be honest with you.
So you started with you three. Yep. Did you guys bring on anyone at the start?
I think we brought on a production associate first, someone to help us make the bars in the condo kitchen. Then we brought on a videographer. So
why that product?
So when my sister was making this 2 years prior, before making it a business, she was making it as an afternoon snack for my brother-in-law because he loved chocolate and he wanted something cleaner and to satisfy his cravings but keep him full. So she was already making this 2 years prior, and they basically wanted to work together on a business in food because they loved food. And they realized that this product was already they already had it, and they were making it at home, and people loved it. He'd bring it to his office. She would give it to friends. And then my brother-in-law read a report from a large consumer company saying that dark chocolate was growing fast and that plant proteins at the time was growing fast. And she was just making a baby of dark chocolate meets plant proteins and clean ingredients. So he realized that, him being a data guy, he's like, this is product market fit potentially. There'll be a pull for this product in the market once it launches. The only thing we're missing is somebody that can make noise and make this relevant and make everyone in the world hopefully know what this product is. And he's like, I need Jake. Jake's one of the best at doing that. So they came to me and they're like, in July of 2018, they're like, do you want to join us? The product's ready. We're about to launch it. We need you to blow it up, be the face, make noise, make us relevant. And at first I was like, the world doesn't need another chocolate bar. And I wasn't even able to, I was allergic to my product for quite a long time.
For real?
Yeah, which is wild. But I believed in them. I believed in their delusion. They were so delusional. They had so much conviction that they were like, we're going to get to $250,000 in our first year. I was like, $250,000 of chocolate bars at that price? You ain't getting there. There's no chance. But they had so much belief. So I was attracted to that. And at the time, I was heartbroken from my breakup after 4.5 years. I still don't know why we got broken up, but it was the best thing that happened to me because I was in a depressive state. So I need something to keep me busy. So I was like, you know what? And my business closed. So I was like, it was a double loss. So I was like, I just need this. I'll give one more run at entrepreneurship. And that's when we joined forces. And the pitch I gave to my partners was, the product's great that you guys are telling me it's great. It says it's built on data. You said it's amazing. Let me do this strategy that will make noise. And they said, what it is? And I said, we're going to tell the story loud and proud, good, bad, and ugly. We're going to document and share everything. And they're like, what does that mean? They're introverts. They're like, I'm like, your personal life. We're going to share how we build this business, but on the personal level. They're like, we're not comfortable. And I was like, well, you got to give somewhere. And they're like, okay, if we do this, you come to therapy with us. So that was the deal. We signed those 2 deals, and those were 2 of the best investments we made is therapy together and storytelling together. And ever since then, we've gone, millions of organic views
Yep.
because we don't share about the product. We don't tell you that it's got 4 grams of fiber, 6 grams of protein, 'cause that's boring. We show you how we're building this business, the moments of failure, the moments of success, because that emotionally connects. So when you go to a grocery store and you see, I don't know, 30 to 40,000 products, our product stands out because you watch our story, you feel like a friend of ours.
Yep.
And a lot of the consumer brands weren't doing that at the time. So we just blew it up. And you said hires, our second hire, I believe, was a videographer editor. She did both. Now they're separate positions. But she crushed it. She just documented. And we have 6 terabytes of content since the beginning
Wow.
of every moment that's happened.
So talk about that strategy, but the storytelling strategy that you went with, maybe even break it down further, because we love that too. We love storytelling. We believe
You
it
get
works.
it.
Of
You guys
course.
do it on a daily basis.
Maybe for someone that doesn't understand what you're saying when you say that, maybe because I believe any brand in any industry can storytell and see success. So maybe talk about a little bit about break down that storytelling strategy, maybe from day one as to what the plan was. Was it a daily thing? What were you actually capturing? How many people were involved?
I think, generally speaking, first, I think storytelling is the key to this new attention economy. So if you're going to win attention, we're all competing with each other. I'm competing with a plumbing company, just like they're competing with me as a chocolate bar company. Why? Because there's limited attention in this world, and you have limited amount of time to get someone to care. And if you can't get them to care, they ain't listening to you. They're going to block you, unsubscribe, change the channel, fast forward. You're screwed. 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. You put up billboards, they were forced to pay attention because there wasn't social media or the internet. Today, because of this, which is great, it democratized the consumer's attention. They're not forced to pay attention to anything. They choose where they want to pay attention. So as a business, you better storytell, because our brains are wired to interpret stories, not features and benefits. No one cares about seeing a chocolate bar on social media. It's a strange thing, but they'll care when they see someone having a nervous breakdown and coming back from that, and then their business taking a huge win. And that matters to them because they can relate. So how do we do it? Well, the thesis was, let's tell the story in an authentic way, not from a buzzword authentic, but like real, and just show people the good and the bad. And that way they'll connect and feel part of what we're doing. So what we did was we just took out our iPhones. None of us were great storytellers. I was a little bit better because of the businesses I had prior, but just take out our camera and just share raw stuff. And what we learned was the raw was very different at the time, and people connected deeply from it. They're like, this is like as if I'm living this life myself. And what that did was it brought us closer to the consumer. It allowed us to communicate with the consumer deeper, allowed us to actually sell to them down the line with actual selling material, and then they buy the product. So what we did was just documented, and we shared unfiltered, no editing, or very minimal editing, and posted. And none of us were experts in anything. We didn't have any expertise. We just knew how to use an iPhone at the time. And we'd put a tripod out and just film. And then we'd cut down what we think is interesting and then just put it up on Instagram stories. Today, we use a lot more editing and stuff like that. And we base the storyline on what we think is relevant for the story. But we still document everything that's happened. And then we use that B-roll to evoke emotions. Now, look, you don't have to do that. You don't have to go that deep into storytelling. You just need to have some sort of raison d'être to tell your story, some sort of authenticity, and just lean a little bit into it. The more humanized you are in this era of AI, in this era of, people can barely pay attention for more than 7 seconds, you need to captivate them at a level that relates. It needs to relate to them. So, if you're selling plumbing services, are you going to tell them that you fix toilets? Like, I don't know. Like, how relevant is that to someone unless they're looking for that exact problem? How can you hit them on an emotion, evoke an emotion, make their antennas go up and be like, I want to listen to this gal or guy because he or she's interesting. What do I know about this person? Then the more you're into their circle, then you could sell them. So I think today, if you're not going to storytell, you're fucked. You are behind. Doesn't matter if you're a banker, doesn't matter if you're a plumber, doesn't matter if you're a chocolatier, doesn't matter if you're a podcast host. Storytelling is the key to winning the attention economy. Now, if you're going to storytell and inject, if you're going to storytell and not inject authenticity, you're also losing, because eventually the consumer's going to say, I don't want to associate with this. So there's no secret formula. It's just share your story as you share to your family and your friends, but figure out how that story is relevant to your business and how you would share that. But share it the same way as you communicate to family, friends, acquaintances. Don't put on an act. Don't be fake. Just be yourself. And lean into what the values of your organization are, or the raison d'être, the why of your organization, and share that story loud and proud.
And when you guys were storytelling at that level, maybe closer to the beginning as opposed to now, did you notice there was certain content that would resonate more as
Yep.
opposed to others? Was it, you know, maybe something negative happened to you guys that day and then that's getting more views than something positive happening?
What I noticed was failure was very significant because a lot of us go through that. And whether we admit it or not, as humans, we all fail in life
Yeah.
in certain things. We get rejected. We go through heartbreak. We don't get a job. We fail an exam. It's common. So
Yeah.
it hits that, I've been through that type of thing. And the vulnerability always worked. The transparency, that content always had some sort of virality, whether it was 10,000 views or 20 million on the post.
Yeah.
A lot of the hits were based on emotional content. So vulnerability and, our adversities, or really emotional wins. So like big wins. And we showed the spectrum of both. We didn't just show one side or the other. I think the balance of that early on and now has been one of the reasons why we've kept a great community or built a great community, is because they see both parts, not just one side. If you just show one side, they'll move on eventually.
For sure.
But if you show them the realm, it gives them more of relatability. It comes from what people experience. How can your business make the audience see themselves within your story or within the story? And the only way to do it is, I think, to share the full spectrum of things that go on. Now, not everyone's going to do it, and I get it. Public companies, they have risk to doing it. They're short term, their quarterlies and stuff like that. But if you're selling a consumer product, like I said, whether it's a water bottle, whether it's a chocolate bar, whether it's some sort of beauty brand, get them to connect. It's your only way. There's new products every year, new brands that come every year. You're competing against attention that's almost impossible to get. The only way to get it is a story that evokes emotion.
True. You guys raised capital?
Yes.
At what point was that?
Year 2, I think.
Year 2. So
And
you
then
didn't start with it.
No, we bootstrapped the beginning.
Okay.
And then when we want to grow and actually build a factory, we had to raise capital. And we've raised capital with 3 great investors in terms of groups. Okay. And they're venture, so it's not forever, but they've been phenomenal. And a big part of the reason why we got them was because they were watching our story online. Wow. One of them literally came from LinkedIn, believe it or not, like sharing our story on LinkedIn. They were watching it. And they built trust without even having communicated with us. And then when we spoke to them, they were like, we already know so much.
There you go.
Now, some people would say it's maybe dangerous to share a lot. And it is, by the way. You get trolled, which sucks. People are rude and mean, and that people don't really matter, more or less, unless you want to talk to them. A lot of them are suffering, and you could reach out to them and empathize with them and be there as a human. I always say, like, trolls typically love what you do, and you just got to be there with them. And instead of attacking them or being angry, reach out and say, let's connect, let's chat, let's get on a call. I'd say 6 out of 10 times they're good people. 4 out of 10 it's just bad. You ignore those, block those people. But storytelling helped us raise money. Wow. And raising money is not easy. Obviously you need a great P&L and a great business. That's number one. But once you have that, which should be a checkbox, the second part is get people's attention to care about you. Yep. And we did that with investors. We did it with media, publications. They've written our story, not because it's just about chocolate, but because the story of how we're building the business is interesting to everyone, not just chocolate lovers.
Yep. So they pretty much invested in you because they loved your story before you even knew who they were.
I think they invested interest first. So they were like very curious. And then once we had that warm introduction or warm, conversation starter, they were more inclined to want to work with us because they loved us.
Of course.
Now you still needed the model, the business model.
Of course.
Because they're not going to put the money where the business model is stakes, but it was a foot in before having to cold call you and be like, yo, what's up? This is our business. It's a lot harder that. So I'd say that like building out loud is a huge advantage in the capital raising area for any business. Now, competitors will see your stuff too, which if I'm cool with that, I don't really care. I think that if you give the best customer experience and you obsess with your customer, you are the best at what you do for what you do, then no one's going to beat you at that. And if they do, then it is what it is. But I think that people, you got to stay relevant. You got to stay top of mind. Even if you're not raising capital, you still want them to know who you are because they talk to other people, right? Yeah. You never know who's going to share your story, and you might as well control that narrative. So it's almost free other than paying for internet and having a social media account to share your story. And again, it might be 1 viewer that sees it or 2 million.
Yeah.
but that one viewer can change the trajectory of your entire life.
For sure.
So what do you have to lose?
Of course. And touching on the investment again, just because, again, we get a lot of questions on this and a lot of people ask, hey, should I raise money? Hey, should I do this? Hey, I want to raise capital for my company. What would you say the split is in terms of the investor as to why they invested in you? Let's say there's one part of it because they love the founders and they really believe in what you guys are doing. They can look right at you and say, I like this guy. And the other part is the product.
Yep.
What would you say the split was?
So product, market fit, product, definitely. They're not going to invest in something they don't believe in.
Of course.
Product, the ability to grow.
Okay.
Like how big is this market? Sizable? Where can it be taken in terms of size?
Okay.
And then the team that you built and my co-founders and also the team that's running this business with us. And I think that those are the three important things. So product, founding team, sizable market, and team that they have, that's building this company. And there's millions of companies out there. There's a lot of capital out there, but where it gets allocated usually is, in my opinion, the best storytellers with a great vision to share, and a team that can actually execute what they say. Mm-hmm. So I always say, like, if you're going to make a promise, keep the promise and actually execute it. And if you could show that as a track record, the trust starts to build, and then they'll start backing you and backing you and backing you. And I'd also say, like, don't just raise money because it sounds cool and you get media from it, and you know, it's serious. Like, when you get investors, a lot of the time, like, there's expectation, right? There is, and they have every right to, you know, and you got to be very also careful in the provisions that you sign. Mm-hmm. Just because you have a high evaluation, they might be giving you provisions that are devastating for your business down the line on a rainy day, what it would look like. So don't always go for the highest valuation. Go for the people that you believe in. One of the rules that we have with a major partner that we invest in is we always ask if we sleep at their house before investing. And why we ask that is because you see them in their environment, mm-hmm. and with their family, with, you know, how they are, and you get a little bit more taste other than transaction, mm-hmm. more human. And there's gonna be things that go wrong in every business. You want to be with warriors that fight and believe and want to be there and are good people to have on those moments, not just the great moments, but the hard moments.
Of course. And when you received that money, did you feel this new pressure?
Well, to start activating that capital, for sure. You take the money, you can't just sit on it. You have to start executing the vision you put forward.
But also the pressure to make sure that it comes to life now, because
100%.
There are people...
100% hardworking people's money is in the company, not just ours. Yeah. This is people that believed in us, took a chance. Yeah. And it's our fiduciary responsibility to return them the highest shareholder value. Yeah. And we're going to do everything in our power to do that while building a very meaningful business and an impactful business. And look, do I think about it every day and worry about it every day? Like, you know, what's happening? No, I think that's less spent efficient time for the return that they can get. Agreed. I think, how can I build the best business with the best return is what I'll do. And how to do that is just by building the best business possible and focusing all of your attention on building that best business. And I think that if you're going to get investors, transparency in your communication prior is critical on, like, what you expect, what they expect, and get aligned. Again, alignment. Because once you have an alignment, then they understand and they believe in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And then you can also have the open, vulnerable conversations on needing their help and all this stuff. And like I said, our investors that we have are phenomenal. We love them. We have a great board. We've gone through hard moments in this business, and they've been there by our side. And then we've gone through some of the greatest moments, and they've also been there by our side. So, you know, it's a marriage that you're getting into. Yeah. And I think there's pressure everywhere there, but choose wisely who you work with, and they should also choose wisely who they invest with, because there's nightmare stories out there as well.
Fair. Okay, so I have some numbers here. It says 2021, you did 9 million in sales. Is that correct?
I believe so. I got to go back, but
this is from the internet, so
yeah.
It was on.
You never know with the internet, though.
Of course. We'll just say that these are the numbers for now. Yeah. It's just more for context.
Because we do a fiscal year, so that's why it's harder. But okay. Go ahead.
2021, 9 million in sales, and then 2023, you did 30 million in sales. It's almost triple. What I wanted to ask you is, what changed in the business for you guys to be able to triple?
I think we try to grow at around 40 to 45% year over year. It's a lot, and it's big
growth,
jumps
for sure.
And on the low 30%. Okay. So I think the way that we grew our business is a couple of things. So building out team, people is everything in a business. the three of us built this business at the beginning, but now the team running it is running the business. They are phenomenal. They are incredible. They're so much smarter than us in many, many things. And without them, we wouldn't be here today. And I hope they listen to this and hear, like, you know, again, they're the rock of this business now, and the fire and the space jet of it. So them, number one, that's a big growth thing, was hiring the right teammates and building the right team. Second, distribution. So we start to increase our points of distribution. So we went into retailers that our consumers wanted to buy our products in. We listened. We executed from a data standpoint where we knew our customers would be and where our competitors did extremely well, so that we knew that the destination was strong enough as a base where the product was in these stores. So we increased the distribution, not quickly, but just enough so that we could support it from a marketing initiative, not rushing to get into 30,000 stores. No, if we want to add 1,500 doors this year, we added 1,500, but we knew we could take on the marketing and the efforts to support it. Okay. Third was proper innovation. So not just launching products for the sake of products. We launched products that we knew from data, again, and just consumer feedback. These are the products we want to launch because they're meant to be in the market. So we didn't just go launch 30 products, which a lot of brands do. We launched one every year and a half, and we focused on it. We made it a great product that we knew would have product market fit, and then we could insert into the market. So those are the ways that we grew our revenue, was through innovation, slow focus on innovation in terms of getting it done and executing on true innovation. And the second thing was the proper increased distribution. Like, we sell at some of the greatest retailers in the world, and we don't rush to always be in all of their stores. We rush to be in the stores that we know will do well. We win with them, show them that they can win with them, and then grow. And look, like I said at the beginning, we're in 10,000 stores today, and that's a lot. 7 years in, 10,000. Yep. Never thought that we'd be in this much, to be honest with you. But there's close to 75,000 in North America. You know, we don't rush to go into every single store. We stagger it strategically that our team could support and that we could also manufacture. So we own our manufacturing, and having the capacity is critical for safety, and food quality is the number one priority. So you don't want to rush growth. You don't want to just go add in, a significant growth thing, because that will affect potentially the quality and safety, which is, again, the most important thing of any business.
For sure. And speaking of the stores, I know you guys are in Costco.
Love Costco.
Congrats.
They're Costco Canada. So we're in Costco Canada. They are
massive,
a amazing partner. They really was a really meaningful launch with them in last year, this year, January 2025. It's been a huge win for us and our consumers.
And I want to talk about how you actually got them, because I know you did a content.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the content play and the campaign that you guys did?
Costco's a tough retailer, and I say tough because they're very specific on what they put in their warehouses, because they value their members so much, and they want to give them the best quality at the best price point, and that top quality, top price point, and I think that in order to do that, they can only select a certain amount of products, so it's very hard to get in. So when we tried to get in a couple of years back, it was just rejection. No, not the right time, not now, and we never gave up. And then we asked them, well, what can we do? Like, if you're going to keep saying no, what can we do otherwise? And they offered us to do this roadshow, which is basically sampling in store and then selling your product more or less on consignment. And, you sell your product, and then they read the data after, and it doesn't guarantee anything. It doesn't mean you're in the store. It's just you're in that warehouse and you try it and you go with the Costco members. And Costco loves it because their members get excited. They try these new things. It's treasure hunt vibes. It's all this cool stuff. So when we asked them, we're like, yo, what's the record? Because we knew we weren't in the store. We're just doing the road shows. They told us a certain, amount of units, whatever it was. And I told my team internally, I was like, guys, we got to blow past this record. If we ever want to get into Costco, we got to show we got to show the number one, their members that their members love it. Number two, we got to show the HQ that this is a good product for your store at the right price point. So what we did was we did these road shows and we used content. So we basically told the story of how hard it's been to get into Costco. This is a huge moment. We gamified it. We said, come show up, come support us. This is a huge moment. We filmed everything in live time. The moments, how the day was going, how many we sold, did we hit our numbers, did we miss it? And it created this moment where people were watching, they were part of it, and people just wanted to be associated, so they showed up. Wow. And people even got memberships to Costco for the first time ever to come buy it to support this initiative. And we ended up blowing past the record. And after we did this, we did multiple roadshows. We did 3, I think, or 4, and we did significantly well in each one. Costco was interested in in working and partnering together because their members really enjoyed this product at the price point that we offered it. So it took 3 years and a roadshow and tons of noise, tons of media, tons of literally everyone from the US saw it to Canada and yeah, in last January of 2025, we launched into, I think it was 30 or 40 other warehouses. Now we're in 96 or 94 across Canada. And the lesson is use your community to, sorry, not use, like have your community come be part of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Tell the story. And again, product market fit, right price point, right product, right place. You put those together, you're basically giving yourself the best opportunity of success at retail.
Yeah. And do you think without that content play
Would have been really hard.
it would have been almost impossible, right?
You know, we go, I can't tell you how many times it's brought up, this content thing about Costco. Almost once every week, I would say someone says, oh my God, tell us about the Costco experience. Tell us how you guys did it. It's not so much how, it's just we put so much love and care into something that we were willing to sacrifice a lot to make it happen, and we did. And you felt that energy from that. And when you feel the underdog story and you want to be associated with it, it's something that our brains have been passed down for many years, our ancestors. So the underdog story is powerful, it's relatable, it's exciting. So if you could be a little part of that, again, it's your win as well, not just our win. And it was a win. Our consumers, their members, have been requesting our product for a long time. So it was a WWW for everyone.
Everybody.
And that's how you win the best in life.
Of course. And I know we're talking a lot about wins, but I do want to ask you too about the lower points in your journey. I know you've spoken about it in the past. What do you think has been the lowest point for you so far with Midday Squares, and how did you get past it?
I've had many moments of bouts of depression throughout this journey where, I was always the Energizer Bunny, the happy guy. And I actually felt the other side during this journey for the first time in history of my life. And I would basically feel empty. It was the weirdest thing. Like I would feel like, what's the point of this? Why am I doing it? I would be on these crazy dopamine hits of like traveling the world, meeting the craziest people, doing cool things like this podcast and like fun other things. And then I'd come home and I'd be like, now what? And I would chase the next one. And I was drained.
Yeah.
And I would go on 100 plus flights a year, to build my dream that some don't even see, right? But I think the biggest low point was when I had my burnout. And I basically was going at 100 miles per hour. I was on top of the world. It was when I actually got my, all these awards and, magazines and TV. I was living this dream and this bucket list stuff. And I was like, this is so cool. I don't want to lose this. Yeah. So I did everything in my power to try to keep those things going, which took me off track of my raison d'etre, my why. I started to be somebody else. Like that wasn't me. And I started to notice like I was a little ruder to people. I was more anxious. I was more fearful. My body was tense because I had so much fear about losing the momentum I had of like building, but I was starting to act inauthentic a little bit. And then I was playing hockey one night and I fell. I hurt myself. I fell trying to impress a 13-year-old, taking a wrist shot. I tripped on the ice and I felt something really in my back, like a pain, man. It was almost like something moved, and like I was actually injured. And I went to my parents' house that day and I was icing my back. I was like, I'll wake up the next day totally fine. And then the next day I woke up in more pain and then more pain. And then I was like, not really able to do things. And I was like, wow, my identity has been so driven in physicality, showing up to keynotes, to making people feel something, to jumping around, dancing. Like that's Jake. That's the Jake that everyone knows. What happens now that I'm injured? I can't move.
Yeah.
Who am I now? So I start to be like, I'm going to lose all the momentum that I had. I have no value, because that was my value in quotations. And I started to get anxiety, start to kick in. And as the injury got worse, I started to think I had crazy injury. Like I thought I was thinking like, something's majorly wrong with my back. Do I need surgery? Then that turned into an obsessiveness with my health, where I didn't care about my business anymore. All I cared about was fixing my back. I read every book. I read every article you can imagine. I was home for hours a day in my bed, just reading and obsessing, and depression started kicking in. Then I started to think I had MS, because I started to have other symptoms. So my eyes went blurry. I had electric shocks in my body. I was tingling everywhere in my body. I had so much anxiety, so much buildup of fear and tension in my system that I was having all these problems. So I just didn't know who I was. And I was rude to my people like that mattered to me, that I loved. And then I tried to keep showing up in my physicality, even though I was in so much pain. I would get on planes still, and and I went to LA, I'll never forget, for this big expo, which was my big Super Bowl. It's where I perform best. I'm with all the consumers. There's 80,000 people there. It's called Expo West. It's one of the greatest shows. And it's where I wave the flag, I yell, I scream, I dance. I get everyone excited. That's my job, the rainmaker. And as I was doing it, the pain was so bad, man, that like I couldn't suck it up anymore. And I just collapsed. And I went back to the room, and I never felt defeated like that in my life. I sat in the room. This was day 2. There was 4 days, I think. And my partners were still there, so they were able to take over the booth and all that stuff and the expo. But I sat there. I was icing my body, my knee. I was inflamed. I couldn't walk. I couldn't feel my electric shocks. I had all these nerve pains. I just started bawling my eyes out, and I was like, I give up. Like, I was so defeated that I just said, I got to stop. I have no control of my brain right now. All I want to do is fight the pain, not accept it. And I think I have all these diseases which were in my head, and I could barely control my life. I have now OCDs that I've never had in my life, which, I was unhealthy. So I went home. I flew home. Thank God I got home. And I took 40 something days off. It was indefinite at the time, but I took 40 or 42 days off. Did a ton of therapy from a perspective mental standpoint, just catch myself back into like a rhythm and get out of this negativity that I was in. Yeah. And then that was slowly working, but I still had all my pains. And then one day I was walking on the treadmill because I still have to get some physicality, and at like 3 speed, a little bit of an incline. That's all I could do. And this is all me telling myself that I could do that. I did MRIs, everything for the back. There was no issue, no structural, nothing. Wow. Doctors told me I was totally fine. I went to every osteo, every physio, anything you could imagine. Every book, I was almost a professional on nerves. That's my friends who are doctors are like, you're reading crazier textbooks than we read. Yeah. But I was so obsessed. Mm-hmm. And then I'll never forget this lady that was on a treadmill with next to me. She's like, "What's wrong?" Because I was like so high, I was like so stiff, and like you could feel the energy. And she said, "What's wrong?" And I started giving her the whole story about the back. I did it to everyone because that's all I could talk about. And she listened, and she's like, I'm not here to give any advice. I'm not a professional, and neither am I, by the way. Anyone that's listening to this, no professional advice, no medical advice. This is just me, my experience. But she said, "Why don't you try hypnotherapy?" And I was like, "What the hell is hypnotherapy?" She's like, "Hypnosis." So I was like, "Isn't that like for like magicians and stuff?" She's like, "No." She's like, a physio friend of mine who had back pains, couldn't fix his back pains. The MRIs told him nothing was wrong, and he had these major problems. He was staying home. He was depressed from this. It was ruining his life. So he went to a hypnotherapist, and it changed his life. So I was like, "What do I have to lose? I'm already so unhappy. Yeah. I feel burnt out. I didn't care about my business at that point. There was no more business Midday Squares. I was removed from it for a little bit. And I called the guy up, this hypnotherapist. He told me his story about hockey, falling in hockey. And his back was injured for 4 years. There was no issues, but he was on painkillers. Anyways, I don't know the whole story. And he had a TED Talk. I watched it. And I was like, this can't be real, man. So I went to him. Tried it, open-minded, desperate as hell. Mm-hmm. And I did 15 sessions over like a period of a year. And dude, my back pain started to disappear. Wow. My OCDs have now been lowered to a volume that I've never seen, where I can live my life and I have control of my life. I couldn't control my life before, man. I couldn't drive a car without thinking that I hit cars and people. And so I'd drive hundreds of times around the neighborhood to just see this stop sign if I went through it, if something was there, like a piece of a garbage can, a person. Because in my brain, I was so out of control. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm back now. Like, I'm fired the fuck up. I'm back to Jake. But like, the thing I learned in this whole journey of burnout and the depressive state, the OCDs I went through, and the mental health crisis, is if I just would have listened to my body, all the signs were there. They were all telling me, slow down. Just chill. Find yourself again. Stop trying to be somebody else. And it was like a car, flat tire sign, oil change sign, this sign, windshield, blah, blah, blah. Ignored them all. And then the car just collapsed. It stopped working. The batteries ran out. And I think that that's what people forget is your mind body is critical. You should listen when it tells you to slow down. And I wish I did. Actually, I don't regret it. I learned this, so I don't regret it. But again, it's not medical advice, but this is just what I experienced. And I'm so grateful I went through it, even though I still have some things like residual from it. But it changed my life for the best.
For sure. And now I guess whenever you're kind of feeling that, you just slow down now. Is that the answer?
Yeah, I was in London last week for work, so for vacation with my wife. Okay, and I wouldn't have done that prior. And I did it. I guess I was addicted. I ended up doing some work there. I had some opportunities, and I have that addiction because I don't have work-life balance. I believe so much in the vision we're building that I'm willing to still do a lot. But the thing I'm different about now is the moment I feel body like issues or like moments of OCD accelerating, I come back down and I take a step back and I just evaluate and I ask myself honest questions. And I've been on track since, and it's been now over 2.5 years since that experience. And anyone that's listening to this is burnout is real.
Yep.
Just know that it could last one day or it could last your whole life.
Yeah.
And you don't know what it's going to affect. It's going to happen to you. And luckily it happened to me only for like 40 days or so. But I know people that's happened for 2-3 years where they can't come back from it. And it's real.
I just feel as like most entrepreneurs, and I'm talking to you and I feel it from you too, is we always want to do something for our business. Like, you know, if I'm at home laying down, I'm like, well, I'm not a good business owner or I'm not a good brand builder. What am I doing? Like my competitor is probably out at his office putting in work. Right? So I'm sure you still feel that.
I still do.
Right. And how do you combat that?
I don't have the answer for that. Now I could tell you is that's what causes me to feel low. So I feel that I'm unproductive and that's my weakness. Like I feel that rest means that I'm unproductive and I'm losing and that it's actually failure and it's not a good thing, even though I believe in failure because I think failure teaches you a lot.
Of course.
So there's this weird thing where my therapist taught me this. He said, your job is to be a rainmaker, perform, make noise, build friends, literally give people 150% of energy and deliver that. That's hard. But you're like, because I love sports, he's like, think about an NFL player. They play on Sundays, right? They have to go out and give their all. Their whole career's on the line. Their whole life's on the line. They can get cut. There's someone waiting to replace them at all moments, every second. After the Sunday performance that they just gave their all, they spend 6.5 days, rest, recover, recharge, learning, get the body back down so that it could perform again. Once I understood that, I start to appreciate that as an entrepreneur, as someone building a great career, it's important to rest, recover, however that is. It could be taking time doing nothing for a full day.
Yeah.
It could be going on a walk in nature. I don't know what it is, but everyone has different. But giving yourself permission to have that is critical because that's what makes you accelerate and give that gift that you're going to give on the Sunday and perform at the highest level. So like my keynote this morning that I gave, I delivered an amazing one. It's probably one of my better ones that I've ever given. But because I just recharged in France and London for the last week. And I came back strong. And again, the recharge was necessary to deliver the greatness, which again, I now appreciate. But when I go through those moments, that's what I think back to. Because I'll leave this trip tonight I've been here since 6 a.m. in Toronto. I'm gonna leave back at 9 p.m. I land at 10:30. I'll have that moment of like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, am I gonna sleep in? Like, I'm gonna be useless. But then I remind myself of the athlete and it brings me back.
And I think that moment for you was key because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't understand rest until they're forced to, like you were forced to.
And it's dangerous.
I know. And they almost have to wait for something bad to happen to realize.
Which is why we're telling the story today.
I know.
And I hope that people listening can I'm not an expert. I have no experts in anything, man. I'm just giving the advice.
But you have experiences that many people go through as well.
Yeah. If I could help someone avoid a landmine, then that's mission accomplished.
You know, before I have some rapid fire here for you, but before we get into that, we ask our guests to manifest something on episode so that in 5 years from now, we can come back, clip it, and I can tell everyone, hey, Jake said it. So is there anything you want to come to life in the next 5-10 years, personal or business? Go ahead and tell the camera because we're going to run it back in 5 years.
Great question. I want to manifest this idea that I'm living my life in flow state. And I know it sounds vague, but right now I still feel those bouts of depression and those bouts of weakness when I'm not productive. And I wish I could just come back from my trip and be excited about the present moment. And right now I'm still not fully present in the moment with the people I care about. I'm always on my phone checking for business. And I wish I could still achieve the greatness of building Midday Squares to be the next biggest literal afternoon snacking business in the world. And that is the 10-year manifestation from a business standpoint. But I wish I could do it while being present with everyone I care about because I'm not right now. And it makes me sad. Mm-hmm. So from a personal, in present moment with the people I care about whenever I'm with them. And then from a business standpoint, Midday Squares be the next biggest afternoon snacking business, definitely in North America, but hopefully globally down the line. And that's all we have is present moment, I think.
For sure. That hits because honestly, like I've been feeling the same way last few years for sure. you know, I give a lot to our business and being on camera and travel and you know, just my energy to people as you
It's
do.
depleting.
And then, you know, you finally get to hang out with your mom at night for dinner and then, but you're not even there.
You're just a shell.
Literally.
And last night I was with my family
Mm.
and I got back from Ottawa late. I was hustling and I was going to Toronto today. So I was waking up at 4 anyways. And I got to hang out. My cousins were there, everyone. And it was the first time in a while where I put my phone like in another room and I just had conversations, not about midday squares, not about my business, just conversations with different people. And it was so fun. And I forget those moments because the last decade of not just midday squares, the other business I built, all I think about is that.
Yeah.
And it's our duty as individuals to protect everything else as well. And if you don't have the present moment, you have nothing. If you don't have the present moment with the people you care about, it doesn't matter if you build $1 billion business. You'll hate yourself.
You're building it for nothing. Yeah.
For nothing. And so, I don't know. I think that the road is not simple, but it's doable. And I think that if you do it while taking care of yourself, then you're a winner.
Facts. All right, we'll get some fun stuff
Yeah,
going.
let's go wrap it in.
Describe the Rainmaker in one sentence.
Making friends with people across the world.
Most overrated social platform right now.
I think TikTok.
Same, I'll agree with you, to be honest. Most underrated marketing channel.
LinkedIn.
Very smart. What's a dream collaboration for Midday Squares?
Personally, I can't speak for the team, but Nike Midday Squares.
What's one thing you would steal from Mr. Beast's playbook?
I wouldn't steal. I'm inspired by his ability to tell stories and grab attention, and I just want to learn from that.
Money or fame?
Fame.
What's one product you would start today based on demand or potential?
I would protect this idea of human experience within customer experience and try to avoid the AI on that.
Okay.
So I would go, I'm all for AI in life and we use it in our business. But when it comes to the human experience of consumers, I think there's this unique ability to protect humanization. And if I could help other businesses protect that, that service would be phenomenal.
It would. What's the biggest misconception about Jake?
That I'm always on energized or a hype bunny. I actually need silence, and I'm not always the happy, excited guy that you see.
What's one failure you wouldn't trade for anything?
The burnout.
The burnout.
So it was an identity crisis that turned into a physical injury, and what I learned was some of the greatest things in my life that I'll use forever.
Mm-hmm. Who's one person you want to make proud?
My mother.
Your biggest win so far?
Surviving 7 years with my sibling and brother-in-law in business and loving each other and actually scaling. And I think that's the thing is so survival. And that's been the hardest.
It's probably the hardest thing you did, yeah.
Being alive after 7 years with the people I'm doing it with
Yeah.
is the biggest win that I've had.
Your favorite online brand or person right now?
Honestly, at the current moment, I like my friends that are doing Coconut Cult. It's a brand that does probiotic yogurts. I find them just so quirky and funny. And we just did a collab with them and it was so epic.
Sick.
So check them out there. I think they're based in Florida or New York, but they're just, at the current moment, I'm feeling such energy from them.
Sick. What's one thing you want to be remembered for?
Being unapologetically myself every day.
And our final question, the famous question, Jake, does money buy happiness?
No, I think it's a tool that can help with certain things, but it doesn't buy your happiness. It just helps with the lifestyle that you may want to live. Some people don't need it. Some people want it. I don't know. For me, I'm in the middle of the balance of it.
Okay, good answer. I appreciate your time, brother. Thanks for coming on the pod. Guys, if you're still with us, hit that subscribe, leave a comment. Go check out Jake on socials. We'll drop his links below, and we appreciate you being with us. We're out. Peace.
Peace, love.